welcome to the Shai show.
Hey, that's my line.
Oops, sorry.
I hope you're having a great week, friends. And this week's Parsha is Parshas Vayechi. Vayechi Yakov, and Yakov lived. It's interesting, this kind of lived in Lashon HaKodesh isn't the kind of lived where we say someone lived in a town. That would be Vayigar or Vayeshev. This is Vayechi, and Yakov lived, meaning he lived life. He lived life to the maximum fullest that life can be lived. And at the end of his life, in this week's Parsha, he gives a bracha to all of his sons and two of his grandsons, Ephraim and Manasseh. We also give a bracha to our own children that they should be like Ephraim and Manasseh on Friday night. And we also give a bracha to all of our children, boys and girls, when we start to tell them, "May the Lord protect and defend you."
You married him for his voice, can you tell?
And what's interesting is that when we give the girls the bracha, that we say we'd like them to be like the matriarchs, like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. And yet, when we give the bracha to the boys, we don't say they should be like the 3 forefathers. We instead say they should be like Ephraim and Manasseh. So it makes me wonder why. Maybe the answer is here in our Parsha.
I bet it is. Am I right?
I hope so.
I think you're right.
So it sounds like that this goes way back, and this reminds me of a story. I once had a friend of a friend who is a psychologist who became from more orthodox, religiously observant later in life, and he was once in a meeting with his colleagues and his peers, and they started to make fun of the fact that he became frum and religious, and they said, how could you, such a great psychologist, such a smart psychologist, get so involved in all of this medieval theology, these medieval practices? So this psychologist, this clever guy, classically stood up and said, "They're not medieval, they're ancient." Deep roots, friends. Takeaway point, deep roots. So this reminds me of another story told to me by a master storyteller, Rabbi Label Lamb. There was once a Navy pilot named Charlie Plum. And Charles Plum, on his 67th mission, was shot down and parachuted out of the plane into enemy territory and was jailed for 6 years. At the end of his 6 years, when he came out of jail, he began touring around, lecturing about the various lessons that he learned whilst his time in jail. On a particular occasion, he was once in a restaurant with his wife, and a man walked up to him and said, "Are you Plum, the Navy pilot?" And he said, "Yeah, I am. How did you recognize me?" And the other man said, "Well, I was the man who packed your parachute." And Plum was excited, happy, and appreciative and thankful. And he said, if it weren't for you and you didn't pack my parachute so that it should work properly, I wouldn't be here today. And then Charles Plum, he said, so who packs your parachutes? Who supports you physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all the other alleles that I'm leaving out? And he was simply asking the people who come to hear him that, think about those people in your life and give them a thanks. So how does this story apply to Ephraim and Manasseh? So they too were parachuted, as it were, into Egypt by their father Yosef.
Sounds like fun.
So they survived there based on the wisdom of their grandfather Yakov and what Yosef had taught them. So we can say in essence that in some ways that Yakov helped prepare Yosef, who helped prepare Ephraim and Manasseh. So when it came time for this bracha, Ephraim and Manasseh were thankful and understanding that the reason that they were able to survive and thrive in Egypt, in Golus, in exile, had so much to do with their grandfather. And when it came time for him to give them a bracha, there was no quibbling amongst them. There was no sibling quibbling. they
It was my joke, I know.
that was that they So that they lived peacefully with each other. That they were not the way we might imagine some siblings where how much did he get? What did she get? Why does he get to do? Why did he get to that? I want to have what he has, or I want that. And then they go, yeah, right. Literally taking the that, not like that, but actually wanting the that the other one has that. But in essence, they appreciate it. When one of them was, something was good, something was fulfilling, he felt simcha for his brother. He felt joy for his brother. He wanted him to succeed. He did what he could for him to succeed. And if something befell them, he thought, what can I do for him? This level of peace, this level of not arguing, quibbling, is incredible, worth emulating. So maybe they learned this. Maybe we can say that they learned this from Yosef, their father. How do I mean that? Meaning that when the brothers came after selling him into slavery, and ultimately leading to his jail time and a lot of other trials and tribulations, they were worried that maybe Yosef is going to come. Maybe Yosef is going to come and he's going to come to take revenge. And this was a concern. And yet when he finally met up with them and Yosef was speaking back to them, he said that revenge is not my business, meaning that I'm not Hashem. I don't make these calculations of vengeance. Vengeance is mine. So that statement, vengeance is mine, is actually not a reference to some fictional character where he thought that he was the one to take vengeance. Rather, vengeance is mine is saying, vengeance is mine. Hashem, God is talking, and vengeance is not, usually, always exceptions, for us. So he said, you intended me harm, but I know that Hashem, whatever happened, intended it for the good for me. So in a way, we're saying that maybe this is why he was able to raise his sons without any acrimony, because he had worked on himself to let go of all his familial resentments and to discern the thread of the divine plan in his own personal story. What do we need in order to let go of, in order to raise our own children without negative family narratives? What blessing can we offer them to convey to them our desires for who we hope that they can be? So maybe part of the answer we can see from Yosef's story that we just spoke about is looking within ourselves first, meaning that we can see that the determination to change ourselves must be mixed with a certain level of a healthy dose of compassion, meaning that we weave together a sort of a kindness with this will, and then that's how we're undertaking this journey, meaning that we develop a self-acceptance and let go of that shaming inner voice that likes to remind one of, let's say, past mistakes or past times where the person has been the not-so-best brother, sister, sibling, family to a loved one. And the takeaway point from that is that if we can't learn to forgive and put that voice away, and we can't learn to be nice to ourselves, what's going to be left for everyone else? So we see that, we also see that we can't, you can't force yourselves we can't just change ourselves overnight by bossing ourselves around. But let's say when we develop maybe a much deeper motivation, understanding, it's for the children, it's for the relationships, it's for a peace of mind, for a peace of life, both probably P-I-E and P-E-A, peace of life, and then in doing so, and by realizing this motivation, it becomes easier to pursue more of what we want of life, the inner peace and the peace at home and the love. And love. I mean, I'd imagine these are the basic human desires and what we all really want. And part of the offer here is not just simply saying a lack of jealousy, but it's the attitude of gratitude, as I've heard before, and it's being thankful, meaning taking the time to be thankful for others, and looking to be thankful to others for what they do for us, allows us to appreciate ourselves more. And the more we appreciate ourselves, also allows us to be more thankful towards others. So maybe we can try to figure out this Shabbos, this coming up week, we can try to figure out who it is that packs our parachute, who gives us the emotional support, who gives us the spiritual support, sometimes even financial support, whoever it is who's giving us this help, to be thankful, and this attitude of finding those to thank. I don't think it's sometimes we think globally, act locally. In this case, act really locally. I really see there's an idea of a real brotherly love and a real brotherly peace and sisterly peace, simply by having gratitude and looking in our life, which probably isn't that so hard to do. There's always someone to thank for something in our life, and by thanking them, and there's a goodness that comes within us, and then even appreciating us and so to speak, thanking ourselves for being us and being appreciative of our own situations and appreciating others. Simply what I'm saying is to look for those to say thank you, and someone, just reach out to someone who you might not naturally run into, who did you a kindness, who did you a favor, who gave you some level of support, and thank them. And this Shabbos, I know it's going to be a great Shabbos, and thinking about those who thank and those who appreciate you, please remember to enjoy your challah, feel that goodness of that taste, and to recognize this is a message. Even though that we, so to speak, baked it here, it's a message to show that there's a goodness and that life can taste sweet when we take that time out to recognize. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the space below. I look forward to hearing from you. And please feel free to hit the subscribe button so you'll get an email, know when the next video is coming out. And I look forward to seeing you next week.